Good morning, folks. Faced with a little different market than we were on the close, kind of strong momentum led by the big caps into the close. But you got nothing but sellers overnight. I don't know where you buyers are. We're near yesterday's low. This is another buy the dip opportunity. Well, we'll find out. Not many other catalysts out there. We got a short day tomorrow, close on Thursday, trading day on Friday, but we do have CPI, PPI coming up next week. We'll wait for earnings season to break us out of the malaise. Scott Redler, 8:35. He'll give us his take on this range-bound market. It's Tuesday. It's pre-market prep. You're in the right place.
Welcome to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
All right. Good morning, traders and investors. As I said, we're in the red by 25 handles, opened up and just been going down. Did kiss yesterday's low. So we do have an important spot to hold this morning. Buck up almost a dime, 105.68. TLT in the green after a bad day yesterday, bad 2 days, up 71 cents at 90.62. Crude now over $74. That's not a good thing or $84. That's not good for inflation. Up 75 cents, 84.13. Gold in the red by 9.10 at 23.80. Silver basically flat here at the 29.50 area. Bitcoin trying to remain that grip in the 60K handle after a nice day yesterday. That's down $650. It's 63,080. Bring in Triple D here and bring in AB. And, some days you come in and you look at the catalysts and they're jumping out to you. And then you come in other days and you say, wow, man, what is this market going to do today? So we say, let's go to the chat and see what kind of ideas we have. But before we do, Triple D, we're stuck. We're stuck in a range. What's going to get us out of this range?
Rotation's keeping us elevated. There was a lot of weakness. You look under the hood yesterday, a lot of weakness in different sectors there. Early on, the AI trade was getting hit, but it bounced back. But then you got Microsoft breaking out, making new all-time highs. You got Amazon very close to all-time highs. You got Tesla breaking out yesterday and was, making new, 2-month highs here. So there always seems to be something picking up the slack, and that's what keeps this market elevated. It's been rotation. It's the lifeblood of bull markets is rotation. But, with ETF effects, we know rotation's even more pronounced in a lot of different, in this market. So, today, you're kind of seeing weakness across the board. Oil's pretty much the only thing that really jumps out at me, that isn't news that's up here this morning. But we know how this market works. They'll find, something to buy. That's what this market is. It's hard to bring down the indices when they sell one stock but just move into another sector.
Also, if you just look at it, during the day, we had a little bit of sell off going into, the last 15 minutes. I like to look at that as a clue. And you're just like, okay, I'm going to short this into the close with Apple up and Microsoft up $9, Apple up like six,
Yeah.
$7. Google.
Scary.
It's just like, no, you don't. There's just no reason to do it. And you pull the trigger on the long, it does. It gets a little boost, but I was not impressed with that close yesterday. It sold off that secret 5 points. It sold off in the last few minutes, whatever the mark. But sellers just came out off the open 6 p.m. last night, and they have been in total control. Whether they looked at the bonds from yesterday, I don't know. But like I say, another important day in the market going post expiration, right? Are we going to continue the trend, pile higher, get to the 5,600 handle? Or is it could it just be a little bit of a buyer strike? Like Dennis, you said you sold some stuff. What are you rushing out there to buy? What looks cheap?
That's the problem. It's just not like you look here and you're like, oh, I go in the AI trade, but now it's feels like it's fully valued. So I'm not going there. And do I want to go buy Nike? Do I want to go buy these laggards? I don't see interest rates going down anytime soon. I actually see the TLT and longer term rates going the opposite way, going up. That's a terrible 3 days for the TLT.
Oh
Go
boy.
from 94 to 90. So that spooks me too. And then you have uncertainty. You have political uncertainty here, Joel, because we've obviously got, the whole Biden situation where we had the debate. Now they don't even know if he can run again. So you got the whole Dems with political uncertainty on that side of it all. So you sit here and you're like, well, and then you're into the summer doldrums. Do I think this market's going to blast off in July and August? No, I don't. So I think there's a lot of reasons just to kind of sit back and maybe enjoy your summer a bit as an investor and not worry about, this market's going to take off without me. I don't see this market taking off without you. Not right now. Maybe September things change, but as of right now, I don't see the catalyst really to take us off and blast us off higher anytime soon.
I mean, yeah, and I think right now it seems like in terms of us being so close to all-time highs, just anecdotally from my Twitter feed and stuff, you still have a lot of people that are very, maybe not bearish, but they're like waiting, they're tentative, waiting for a pullback, waiting for a market crash, and then you'll get like a couple red days. The next thing you know, the market's back at all-time highs. It doesn't feel like you have a lot of this euphoria around the market. I mean, you look at the sentiment survey right now of retail investors, and it's still less than half. More than half the people are either neutral or bearish. So I think a lot of people are in this camp of waiting for valuations to come down, waiting for some stocks to come down, but they really haven't that much. I mean, certain names, like you mentioned, Dennis, the laggards, the Nikes, et cetera, have come down a lot. But for the most part, I think there are a lot of people out there that are scared to buy at these prices up here.
Well, it's elevated. I mean, if you're coming in NVIDIA now, it's up 200% really from the beginning of the year. I mean, it's hard to just come in and say, yeah, this is, I got to chase this. It's got to go. I mean, the prices are elevated on everything now. So I think until you get a reasonable pullback in some of these stocks, it's hard to jump in. Now, there are pockets, and definitely some pockets of weakness. If you want to be a contrarian, there's all kinds of opportunities if you want to be a contrarian, but it just hasn't worked. So, like I said, you can come in, you can buy Nike at multi-year lows. You can come in, you can buy, so many stocks. I mean, there's so many sectors that, just haven't participated whatsoever. Lots of, different areas, but I don't know if that participation is going to start until I start to actually see the TLT start to rise. So meaning longer term rates actually going down. So, do I want to jump in the small caps? Do I want to jump in, some of these mid caps? Do I want to jump in those Nikes of the world that just, seem to go down every day? I mean, Solar Edge, we talk about this. It goes down every day. It's exactly the opposite of NVIDIA, where NVIDIA was just going seemingly up every day. Every day we come in, NVIDIA's up. Every day we come in, Solar Edge is down again. I know we talk about this stock a lot because I'm just, it was like the solar stock. It was like everybody was talking about this 2 years ago. It was the one, like this is, displacing First Solar as best of breed. And, ENPH and Solar Edge both look like they're on death marches here. And, and it's not just that. There's so many other things like, you think about the EV trade and, the EV stocks and the Cathy stocks, what they haven't participated whatsoever. I mean, you want to be a laggard, you want to buy if you want to buy laggards and you want to be a contrarian, there's all kinds of stuff that is potentially undervalued. But how do those stories turn? How does the China story turn? We've been hoping and thinking, that, Baba's valuation is just getting to a point where you just have to buy it. But I mean, do you? Because they just don't seem to care. And why are they going to start caring? I don't know what makes them start to care. They only care about story. This market is so driven by social media. It only cares about a good story right now. And if your story is bad, valuation doesn't seem to matter at all because people aren't coming in there unless Roaring Kitty comes out and starts throwing up China memes. It's hard to think that this is just going to imminently turn around.
I got stock for you if you want to look to buy, right? First Solar, right? I mean, everyone, when it was way up there, I'm like, oh my God, can you believe the way it's diverging and so different? The analysts run it up and oh no, it's the best in breed. It's the best in breed. Okay. So it's the best in breed. So it's pulled off from 300 to 223. What a pullback. The best in breed. There you go. Right there. They're nice haircut, boom, had that run up. Who knows if the analyst will be able to run that trick down again? I mean, there you go. I mean, if you want a stock that supposedly is the best in breed in its sector, had a bit. I mean, look at that pullback. That's a huge pullback. I mean, in my head, I think it's going to end up like all the other solar stocks do,
Yeah,
but
that's what
that's
I
not.
think too.
But that's not what I'm being told by the Wall Street analysts. The Wall Street analyst, boom, boom, boom. I went over this with Hayden yesterday. Upgrade, buy, price target grades, upgrade, buy, like in a matter of 2 weeks, just pumping this thing up. So what are they going to do? Actually, because I don't know who was it hopped in with the downgrade, kind of near the top there, but it. I mean, if you're going to go, we talk about going to best of breed and solar. To me, that chart is just in the middle of nowhere between 200 and 220. But
It's just been such a tough sector to invest in. And yeah, you have one stock bucking the trend, but you see what's happening with all the other ones and you think, holy, like, are they that different? I don't know. I don't follow the sector, I guess, closely enough to understand that it's going to be First Solar and nobody else, because SunPower went from 50, and your point here, AB, too. This is a good point you're bringing up in the chat. You were looking at a small, penny stock solar stock. I mean, there's so many of these solar stocks that actually look like they're going out of business. The charts are saying like these stocks aren't going to survive. I mean, when SunPower, you go from $50 to $2, Solar Edge, you go from $350 to 23, ENPH, little bit better, but still pretty crappy. You go from 339 to 97. You were giving us one, EOSE, I think you were giving us your AB, goes from 30 to a buck. I mean, you look at all these things and you think, well, then stocks go down. I've said it before, when stocks go down 90%, you usually don't want to be buyers, because most of these stocks, when you look at them 10 years later, are still down 90% plus. It's just a rule of investing. When stocks fall 90%, they're usually not good investments at all. It just fallen too far. Now, there's always the exception. Amazon was down 95% during the internet bubble, but there was also, Joel, during the internet bubble, burst back in 2002, there was about, probably 1,000 other internet companies, the pets.coms, that never came back. So you had to be good enough to pick the bookstore one, and when everything was just crashing and burning. It was just, a different time, obviously, where panic in the street and bloodshed everywhere. But it's hard to be a contrarian and say, yeah, it's time to buy solar stocks or turning it around. I'm not going to touch any solar stock until I actually start to see the TLT rally, because we've been saying this on this show. There is no sector that needs interest rates lower than the solar sector. And if interest rates aren't going down anytime soon, solar remains a no touch for me. So I'll start buying solar stocks when I see a sustained rally in the TLT, and we have not seen that yet.
Real quick, because this is a good segue for something I did want to talk about. That small cap energy company I was mentioning on the pre-market show, it isn't a solar play. It's actually a clean energy storage play, which is what I want to segue. I mean, yesterday you had Tesla close up. Meanwhile, all of the analysts, basically the whole street, was saying we expect these delivery numbers to not be great. And that's like kind of Tesla's main catalyst this week. But you did have Tesla announce a new project for its energy storage business. And even Elon Musk came out and basically said, like, this part of the business might end up being bigger than the automotive part. And, Dennis, I mean, I know you like the full self-driving. I know you like the humanoid story. But for me, like, my reason for buying Tesla right now would be for the clean energy storage side of the business. This has been the biggest holdup for any sort of meaningful transition to clean energy, is the fact that there hasn't been effective ways to really store the clean energy like you can for fossil fuels. So Musk said, I think Tesla might end up doing more total joules in stationary than mobile long term. And they announced a new deal with New Zealand to build an 100 megawatt battery project. It's only $100 million. So like the money part of it's not that big, but I think it's just the fact that this part of the business is gaining traction that really caught a lot of investors' eyes. And then if you look at the growth rate of this side of the business, it grew 54% for Tesla from 2022 to 2023. And I think you're seeing a lot of that growth continuing. So again, like Tesla, I think when it's all said and done, 10, 15 years from now, you'll be looking at the company's revenue. More revenue will come from its energy storage side of the business than the than
And we don't even
cars.
talk about that.
No,
I mean,
and
there's so many reasons to own Tesla here, and this is why I've been
Well,
pounding the table on this for a while.
one of them is not the total self-driving within like 2 or 3 years or 5 years. I mean, there are
Yeah,
other
Phil
reasons
doesn't
to
believe
own
that
it.
full self drive's here in 5 years, but he needs to watch those videos because full self drive is here now. So, I mean, you can argue, and people are arguing that robo taxis are decades away. They're just not watching what's going on around them. They're just not going on and seeing what is actually happening, because there's no way. I would bet almost with 100% certainty that robo taxis aren't more than 10 years away. I don't know if they're next year.
Okay.
I don't think they're next year. Like Kathy's saying, end of this year, next year. Elon Musk is saying next year. I'm not sure it's here next year. They're aggressive targets. It's here within 3 years. It's coming.
Why do people have like their own cars sitting in their own? What's the number one reason?
Why they have their own cars?
Yeah, their own cars. Yeah,
To get to one point to another, to get from point A to point B.
Convenience.
But to get from point A to point B, it's not
Correct.
convenient. It's life.
Right.
Like we're not living, in the Stone Age here where everything is like, 1 mile from us and we just walk over to our local, bread dealer and, get our loaf of bread. I mean, or baker. This is, the 21st century where we have to travel to live. So, we got to travel distances. So a point of a car is to get from point A to point B. So what were you going to say?
Convenience. Like
Well,
after
you could call that convenience, I guess, but I don't want to walk across, the whole,
right. So, I mean,
now
I saw some of the stuff you tonight and then also drive around and I do things. And, at the last second today, or after the show, I got to run somewhere. Okay. So, what do? Dial up a robo taxi or wait for that? Or do I just go to my garage and get in my car and go where I'm going?
But your car can drive itself too to where you're going. You could actually do work.
My car's
Think
really
about
not
how
drive.
efficient. Think you're going to be one of those, maybe, Joel, that never takes a robo taxi. Let's give you an example. My dad has glaucoma. Can't, see very well. But would love to go places, but he's dependent a lot on my mom, like to drive around. He can drive a little bit still because it's one eye, but he's getting older. Like you're at a point where could there be a day coming in the next 2 to 3 years where dad could hop into his fully self-driving Tesla and take him to where he wants to go and not all of a sudden give him some independence back? Could that day come? I'm saying yes, and I'm betting yes. And there's a reason that the market is starting to respond to this. And you know what, Bears? I've been tooting the horn on Tesla here for a couple months, 3 months at least. The stock went down, and you had your day. It went down to 140. I had some stock. I started buying at 190, bought some more at 170, then it went bottom, bought some more at 160, bought some more at 180. And I keep saying, it's like, I don't know the time horizon here, but this company has so many good things. We didn't even talk about the energy storage, AB. I've never even brought that argument up. That's a whole nother reason.
Well, I think go ahead, sorry.
This stock, and again, we're going to get deliveries. We just got the China deliveries. They were epically terrible. The China deliveries, give us those numbers because we're talking Tesla now. So give us the give us the Tesla numbers. The China deliveries came out earlier today. They're not good. The Bears, Gordon Johnson's dancing around, prancing around, on social media right now on Twitter because they're not good. The delivery numbers are not good.
Tesla sold 71,000 China-made cars in June, down 24% from a year earlier and 2.2% from the previous month. You contrast that with BYD put out vehicle sales as well. So Tesla sales in China dropped 22%. BYD Q2 electric vehicles jumped 21%, totaling 426,000 units, just 12,000 short of Tesla's estimate. So you're seeing Boyd kind of catch up in terms of, just total deliveries from Tesla and obviously cutting into the market share in China. We still haven't gotten the delivery numbers for outside of China for Tesla, but most people are expecting this number to be lower. And I was just going to say too, I mean, like hopping in on this discussion about full self-driving, about Jay Rice in the chat said, It's not going to be energy storage. It's going to be robotics. And look, like I think those things will be big players for Tesla, but there's already competition in that space. You can get in a robo-taxi right now in Phoenix
Waymo.
or in San Francisco, and they're
Waymo.
not Teslas. And Tesla started, doing this humanoid stuff like a year and a half, a couple of years ago. There have been robotics companies that have been building that stuff for 15, 20 years. So I don't think Tesla will be the leader in humanoids. I don't even think at this point Tesla is like the leader in self-driving, because you already have other cars on the road doing it. Why is Tesla not having self-driving taxis in San Francisco or Phoenix and start collecting this data and start training its models? You have other companies that do it. You have Waymo and Cruise. You have two other companies that are already doing it. And a lot of Tesla bulls will tell you like, oh, Tesla's the only company with this technology. Well, how is that possible if I can go get in a taxi that doesn't have a driver right now in multiple US cities? So I think, like, again, for me, it's the energy storage. Again, I'm not saying that it's that full self-driving or, robotics aren't going to be a big player, but they just aren't going to be, I don't think, the main player in robotics or self-driving. They probably will be the biggest one. But right now, again, they're not even on the road yet.
Think about how many different, revenue possible streams you just talked about. And, we're pointing out that maybe they won't be the leader. And you may be right. Maybe they're not the leader. But what if they get a piece of all of these industries?
Right.
What if they get a chunk of all these industries? I mean, we keep looking at Tesla. And for years, Joel, me and you were on this show. We've done the show. This is the 11th year we're doing this show. For years, we said, how can you value a car company, with this kind of multiple? We weren't Tesla believers. It's no longer a car company. It is actually proving that they are into so many other things. This is now a full-on technology company. And why is the stock? Tesla sales, did you give us those China sales? Down 24% year over year. Epically failed. Gordon Johnson prancing around. They were terrible, the sales. We've been saying we're going to get North America sales here in about 9 a.m. in about 40 minutes. So maybe we'll be off the show by then. They're going to be bad. The numbers are going to be bad. Why is the stock going up if the cars aren't selling? Why?
Dennis,
I asked you guys. I know the answer. Why?
Dennis, I have not disagreed with you that there are other catalysts for the stock to go higher. The thing that we're in disagreement, and you're kind of backing it off there, is that it's just this FSD. It's full self-driving. There are other things. There are the Starlink. There are other things, robotics, that are working on. There are in the future, and that's what you're banking on. That's what the street is banking on. I'm not. I told you I wasn't bearish stock. I didn't like the area that you bought it. You hung with it. It's made a good move. We'll see how it reacts to the deliveries.
I think it's going to go down.
There's a timeline. There's a timeline for everything. And I think the timeline for full self-driving is a little bit farther on down the line. But that doesn't mean that they can't pick it up in Starlink or internet or different things.
So many things. He's doing so many things, man. This is the most underrated AI company out there right now. So and people are like, I'm sick of hearing about the Tesla. I'm sick of hearing the Tesla. Are you sick of hearing about a 20% gain? Because that's when I'm up in it. That's when I'm up in it. Results speak for themselves, folks. The car sales are going down, but the stock's going up. How is this possible? Sales
you got
going
some
down.
help from the internet.
You know what? Because everything else that AB just mentioned is coming. It's coming, man. It's coming. Tesla gonna have its NVIDIA moment, and it may happen sooner than you think. That's my opinion. I have no crystal ball. I could be wrong. Maybe Musk drops dead of a heart attack tomorrow. I'd probably sell the stock because he's there. I'm just saying, anything can happen in this world. We have no 100% guarantees. But this Tesla stock, Jason Raznick was on this show for years. We got to bring Jason Raznick. He's busy and doing different things right now. But, he was obviously promoting. I'd love to hear Jason's thoughts on Tesla here now, too, because he was promoting it, as EVs are going to be everywhere. And they are. You see Teslas all over the place here now. He was absolutely correct.
Last time I talked to him, he moved on. He has a different car than a Tesla. I think.
Yeah, so he's moved on, but maybe not. I'd be interested in his thoughts here too.
I think he's cut some of his steak, but we can bring him on soon to talk about it.
But I don't think. I heard him tell
Lex saying Dennis is bullish. Teslas must be the top. Was it the top 20% ago, Lex? I was bullish 20% ago. I'm up 20% in my portfolio on it. Was that the top? Was
right, well,
NVIDIA topped at 500? These people who keep, I've had a pretty damn good year.
we'll come.
Pretty damn good year. Results
Not
speak for
according to this
themselves,
chat,
haters.
Dennis.
Results speak for themselves.
Ooh,
We'll come back to Tesla as soon as we get those other delivery numbers outside of China. We do have a couple other headlines, although it is a slower morning. You had President Biden come out and say that these weight loss drug companies must cut the prices. So you're seeing NVO trading a little bit lower, as well as I think last check Eli Lilly was as well. Again, just when you have the president urging these companies to cut prices, we know they're expensive. I mean, some of them run up as much as $1,000 a month. And once people start the injectable weight loss drugs, they have to stay on them. Otherwise, they gain that weight back pretty quickly. So Novo Nordisk now trading down around 3%. Eli Lilly a little bit less, at I think around down about 1.5% right here. So, I mean, this story, it's been two stories really this whole year: AI and weight loss drugs. And haven't really seen that big of a slowdown in these weight loss drug stocks. But maybe this is a sign that if they do start urging them to cut prices and they're going to be bringing in less revenue from them, that it could be trouble for investors.
Well, here's the issue too, is that we have seen some of the air come out of the AI trade. Not burst. The bubble, NVIDIA bubble hasn't burst, but it came off. Lilly, nothing at all. It's just hanging out up here. Not going up as quickly as it was, but definitely not going down. Is a headline like this the catalyst to take some of the crowded trade off? Because Lilly has been a one-way trade for a long time. Not calling the top. Stocks go to 900, usually go to 1,000. Probably going higher eventually here. But do we need to cool off here a little bit? Maybe today's headline, maybe this is a headline. Maybe this is a nothing burger that's going to buy right back. Probably. That's what they do. But at one point in time, I'll have a headline that'll cool off a little bit. And you'll get it like a 10, 12, 15, 20% pullback. That could happen. We're getting a little one this morning. NVO is down as well. Obviously, NVO is already trading in Europe, though, so we already know it's actively trading down 2.7%. Lilly's down 2.1%, but I don't know if this is that headline, though. Joel, your thoughts? Usually when you have this, government, coming in, regulation, usually these aren't the headlines that knock the prices down.
I mean, when you see something like this, I mean, if they're, well, I got to sell my stock, then, you look at the all-time high made yesterday at 914.37. I mean, 900. I mean, what's your profit? If you have a profit target in here and it's getting knocked down because of this, I mean, this has just been such a classic, just trailing your stop up. I know a lot of people don't like to use stop, maybe intraday but if this is the one, if you just kept on putting, your stop below like the last cluster of lows, I mean, it's getting a little consolidation here. I would like to see it get back over 905 today, because that's the lows from the last two sessions. So I'll call that minor resistance. But like these, it's kind of like when these guys come out with like a short recommendation, or something to the government, or an antitrust, or Morgan Stanley's wealth management division, being investigated. I mean, they're headlines and they have a temporary effect. But if you're a long-term holder in the stock, there's going to be other reasons to keep you in the stock.
I have a stock that it's not really, it's slightly related to GLP-1s. It came to me last night and it was one of my, eye tests. I was at this place and I was like, this stock has to be a buy. And I don't know if we probably ever talked about it on this show before. That is Lifetime. Well, I don't know what it's actually called. Lifetime, LTH, Lifetime Group Holdings.
Okay.
It was last night at like 7 p.m. here in Metro Detroit. Beautiful night out, perfect weather. And I went to the park to try to play some pickleball.
Yes.
The courts were closed because I guess there was a windstorm that like destroyed some of the fences. And I didn't know this. So I drove all the way up from downtown Detroit, like 15 minutes north to go to this park. It was closed. I was like, all right, well, now I'm already up here. Might as well go to Lifetime, get a workout in. Could barely find a parking spot again on a night where it's beautiful out. Summer's supposed to be the slowest time for gyms. I mean, this place, it absolutely packed. I started looking at the numbers actually while I was working out at the gym last night. And I was like, actually, this looks pretty interesting. So I don't know. I mean, I was looking at some good growth over quarter the past 6 quarters.
So what do they do? What do they do?
It's it's Lifetime Fitness, Joel.
Yeah,
Oh,
Lifetime
okay,
Fitness.
okay. Lifetime Group. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a member there. Well, not
Yeah,
during
and
the
that's what I'm saying.
not during the winter or not during the summer because I swim outside. But okay, I'm going. I'm with you.
But that's what I'm saying is summer's supposed to be the slowest month. It's supposed to be, oh, January 1st, everyone makes New Year's resolution. The gyms are going to be packed. And then throughout the year, it's going to be falling off. No, last night in the dead middle of summer, completely packed on a nice night out. And I was counting like the cars in the parking lot. I'm like, everyone here pays $150 a month to belong here or somewhere around there.
Oh, you got the cheap one.
If that's cheap to you, Joel, then I mean that's a pretty expensive gym membership. But they think they do a good job of flex pricing, like the ones in New York City and San Diego and places like that are a little bit more expensive. But my one just in Troy, Michigan is a little bit cheaper. But like you look at how many so it has $8 billion in assets in terms of like all their properties, and its market cap is only $3.5 billion. And so I get it when they build a new gym, they take on a lot of debt, like they're expensive to build. But so $2 billion in debt, $3.5 billion market cap, $8 billion in enterprise value. And I just think they have enough membership, enough traction to like always bring in enough money to pay off that debt. And I think this will do well long term. I haven't made a buy yet, but I'm going to be looking at it today.
Do you ever lock yourself out of your locker there?
Yes,
With,
all the time.
Yeah, the lockers they're so good you can't. I'm sorry, Dennis. Go ahead.
The comparison would be against Planet Fitness because you're not really reinventing the wheel when you open a competing gym. So you got to look at where's Planet Fitness. Because it's probably been around. Obviously, and obviously they're everywhere. Just on a multiple basis comparing. One thing is I think the Planet Fitness earnings have been struggling to a certain extent. It's 29 times, 6.3 billion. $1.9 billion, $6.3 billion market cap, $1.9 billion in debt. I'm just going to the trusty Benzinga Pro and just kind of doing because I've never compared these two companies here. I trade them both. Lifetime's about half the valuation of that. Look at revenue numbers, and you try to see can it grow into that. Well, Lifetime $596 million in quarterly revenue just last quarter. Where Planet Fitness, I'm just trying to see if it's comparable.
Dennis going CFA on us here. Go ahead, Dennis.
Planet Fitness looks like it has less revenues. I don't know what that number's right.
Planet Fitness doesn't have swim pools.
Yeah, I was going
to say, what it is?
I don't think you can.
Do they not? I don't know. I've never been in either of them.
They don't.
They don't? Planet Fitness doesn't have pools? Jill's done with this place.
No.
I don't know. Neither. Do I want to pay 30 times for a gym? In both cases, they're trading about 30 times earnings. I'm not sure I want to pay 30 times earnings for a gym, but I don't know. The growth rate seems to be revenue growth 14% there at Lifetime. Planet Fitness revenue growth, just looking here, they're very comparable actually. 14%. I mean, that's funny. So I'm just looking at the multiples and stuff. They're very actually close.
Look at this, Dennis. Okay. So, and this is what Lifetime is doing when they build a new one. They're they're super nice. You get they even have a bar and stuff, and I don't think this is comparable to a Planet Fitness, which is basically just your bare bones gym. Which for a lot of people, it's what they want. They want to pay $15, $20 a month. But these Lifetimes are basically now a country club without the golf. One opened up by my house in St. Louis, and my mom joined, and she would spend all day there. She would go there and swim, do a yoga class, eat in the cafe, bring her laptop, do some work from home. She would literally be there for 8 hours out of a day, and she kind of treating it like it was her club. So I don't know if this thing I don't think it's really comparable to a Lifetime Fitness, and certainly not from a price point because Lifetime is about probably 7 times more expensive than a Planet Fitness. But at the end of the day,
a lot nicer gym, high-end gyms,
high-end gyms. All right, but that's probably enough time on Lifetime.
Well, it's always interesting to bring up
one more fact.
I don't think I could pay. I don't. My bottom line, I don't think it's behind 30 times earnings on a gym, and either of them, Planet Fitness or Lifetime. But I'm not saying valuation we know can stay if the growth rate's there. Valuation can stay elevated, and sometimes they can grow into those valuations. Joel, you were going to say?
Yeah, our Lifetime Fitness. I don't know about all of them, but there's certain insurance companies. If you're over I don't know, a senior citizen or whatever, you can get some really nice reduced rates even at those nice clubs. And it's because of I believe it's because of their insurance companies. I don't think it's Medicare. So there's a lot of people getting a break on those. But Planet Fitness, I mean, it's had a nice run. I don't know, halfway back from its all-time high in 2022, and then gone. I wonder if it reorged again. What's the symbol?
Yeah, LTH. Lifetime went private, and then it became public again. Whoa,
Okay.
who's messing with our
Oh, I did.
thing?
I had the thing right here. Oh
Oh,
no, at the
oh,
stage.
hold on.
Hey Dennis, I just want you to know I just emailed Gordon Johnson and I
He wants
asked
to
him
come
to
on.
come. I asked him to come on Friday to talk
Okay, so
about
I got to
the
fight with Gordo.
no
I
no
love Gordon Johnson. You know why I love Gordon Johnson? Because he can speak and he's convicted in his opinions and he can argue with the best of them. I mean, that guy, you see him like it's probably one of the only people I would be scared to argue against because he is so convicted and he is so strong with his arguments, man. The guy, he obviously been coming on our show for the better part of a decade there. I've always loved Gordo. We're the only people I think call him Gordo, but I don't think he knows we call him Gordo. But yeah,
he
I'll look
might
forward
come
to
on.
going against Gordon Johnson. He's
Well,
gonna say it's all, right now I'm gonna tell you, he's gonna say full self-drive so far out and they can't even get that right, and humanoids will never
he's
come to
elusive.
market.
He's
It's gonna be
elusive.
all those arguments, but you know what? He
He,
makes good points.
even when
Maybe
he
they
comes
won't
on,
maybe they
he's
won't hit
hard to
these
get
targets.
on. He's not reliable like Scott Redler, who shows up on time and we don't bring him on.
Red Dog's always here.
All right. With that said, let's go ahead and bring our special guest of the day, Scott Redler from T3 Trading. Without further ado, Red Dog. All right, Scott Redler, welcome back to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. How are you doing?
Doing just dandy on the second day of the third quarter. How you guys doing?
Good. It's kind of a slower news day in terms of, big headlines. We're still waiting for Tesla's delivery numbers. Those should be coming pretty soon here. And then you got Powell speaking later today. What have you been watching? What's on top of mind for you?
Well, before we do that, before we talk market, when I say how you doing to Scott, I'm like, how you doing, Scott? I know you had a health issue to deal with. So the number one more important thing is,
There you go.
how are you feeling? I see you working from the sauna today. Are you doing what you're supposed to do?
I might be doing a little bit more than I'm supposed to do, but I rarely do less. That's my mantra. But thank you for asking. Yeah, for those of you who've been asking, I did. So to make a long story short, 8 weeks ago I had poison ivy, and I thought that I potentially needed prednisone because I'm very allergic. My primary care doctor took a stethoscope, heard I had a heart murmur. She's like, I never heard that before. She sent me for an echocardiogram. So to make a long story short, I had no idea I had it. I had no symptoms, and I was sent for open heart surgery to close my mitral valve. So about 4 weeks ago, I was sitting on an operating table. They had my heart in neutral. They deflated my lung.
Wow.
I had tubes coming out of everywhere. And now here I am. And this weekend, I already went for a walk and a jog. Sunday, I did a little bit of a video from the sauna, went in my ice barrel without ice, just hose water to get back in the scheme of it. And all I got to say is, something comes up, deal with it. I know they had a date. My surgery was actually supposed to be tomorrow. So I would still be waiting for it. Instead, they had an opening. So I put myself through what I had to go through a month ago. And now here I am on the other side of it. So my one suggestion to everyone is if you have a problem and you have a situation, don't put it off because you think it might, not be the best thing to deal with. Once you deal with it and put it behind you, you could start to recover and get back on firmer ground. And that's where I am right now. And they do say that in 4 months from now, I could be in better shape than I was 5 months ago. So I'm very optimistic, and I have gratitude for, modern technology, because they said if this happened about 150 years ago, I'd probably be dead in about 6 months.
Wow. You look great, Scott. I mean, you look
Sound
like
good. It's the
like
sound too. The sound
Oh,
is good too.
he
yeah,
You
looks
sound
great.
strong. You sound strong. But
Yeah.
I see you got a chart for us down there. I know people that want to hear about the markets and post expiration consolidation station here. Waiting for our next catalyst. What are you looking at, Scott?
Well, I've been managing a bunch of positions for a few weeks now because we've had a really good market, right? We've had a lot of good movement in tech. I know a lot of you guys are watching. I think last time we were on it, we couldn't have pounded the table more about Amazon and Apple and some of these mega cap tech names and some semis. So anyway, for today, if you take a quick look here, this is very important. This is the spies. Okay, we're in this upper range, right? So basically 542.45 has been holding for almost 2 weeks now. So I always talk about upper complexion. So the question is, right now we're at 543.23, down $2. Do we hold here and go green, or do they shake the tree and break below this, and all of a sudden you'll be testing the 21-day and the gap below? So this to me is important today. If it holds and goes, I've already bought a little bit of Amazon this morning. I feel like Amazon's actually green in a sea of red. If you remember when we were on the last time, we were talking about the potential trade above this 189, 191, went to 199.83. Guys made a lot of money. This was, every now and then, we trade for a living and we wait for that big money trade, and the big money trade doesn't happen often. Sometimes we're always knick-knacking, hitting singles. But last week really was the time to hit a really big money trade in Amazon. And now the question is, if the market holds in there, there might even be a trade today again for this to get above 198.30 to 199 to continue. It just, even though this only looks like a range since April, this really is like a 3-year range. We just got above this, from 2021. So it's good to see that something really is working where, got above this, got above that, and now it's extending. So for today, I think, this will be interesting to see if it could hold and go. So that's been a focus of mine since last week. I know you guys just mentioned the delivery numbers for Tesla, but thank goodness they already gave us that trade too. Look at Tesla. Last week we were, a lot of Twitter was all focused on this also, including me. This was another big money trade. I actually had 2 big money trades happen together, which hasn't happened in a while. I mean, listen, I'm not talking smack, but it doesn't, but it happened last week. So last week, if you remember, things started to get a little tighter and Tesla finally started showing some relative strength. So this was the money trade right here when it got above 188. If you remember, that day, it was actually flat. I was in 192.5 calls, 195 calls, and now to me, this trade is over, even though everyone thinks it can get to 228. But this was the trade, and now we'll see what the deliveries are. The deliveries can't just be a little better than fear now after a move like this. So anyway.
Is it over because you hit your target, or did you get trailed out of it?
Nah, I just feel like I made enough money. I feel like as bad as a trade to say, you never want to count the money, but you have a now it's above the 8-day. It's in no man's land. It's also sometimes you trade like a stock before earnings, and it gives you a pre-earnings play, what you thought would happen with earnings, and then you already had it, so you're out of it. So this was what I was looking at if the deliveries were good, and it happened prior to deliveries. So to me, the risk reward just isn't there anymore. So yeah, can I be in a little bit? I just said, forget it. I don't feel like giving 25% back of my trailer. And if it goes to 228, you know what? I don't really care.
Talk about your time horizon, Scott, overall, because we have you on the show lots. But, is your average trade like 2-3 days? Can it be longer, shorter? What's your average trade? Like, what's a Scott Redler average, trade look like, the time horizon of it?
Listen, my meaty trade that I love is a 1 to 3 day time horizon where something gets really tight and goes where I can get to like a tier 3. But then once it gets through that point, I could manage that trade for weeks and months as long as it's acting well. As long as I could buy a dip on like a day like today, let it go green, sell some, and stay with the swing versus being trapped in a predatory situation. Like right now, this Amazon trade, who knows? I might have this thing on for more weeks. Like I've had this Amazon trade on since pretty much really since, June 20th. Okay. So, and I hopefully will have it on because it's been giving you a lot of great tradable action where even on that mechanical sell on Friday with the rebounds, you could have bought the close, took no pain yesterday, regrouped. Today, the futures are down, 20 handles. It's up $1. So it's acting what I call special. So I'll stay with it as long as it stays special. I've been with Apple for a while too. If you guys remember, after the event, we had a bunch of options on for it. I stayed with it up until here, and I've been in this Apple trade pretty much, this whole time. Again, and I bought the mechanical dip on Friday because of the rebalance. And now I'm hoping that this trade could get above 217.50 and 220. So as long as, if it would have broken this 210, I might have been out of it because then the trade changed. Or maybe I would have given it to 206. And if it would have broken that, maybe I would have been out of it. But this is really giving me no reason to get out of it. And it's giving me ways to create cash flow because I'm engaged watching the name. So my term is special. If a stock's acting special, I'll stay with it and I'll massage it and I'll use my tier system. But once all of a sudden it closes strong and then gaps down and doesn't give you a way out and starts acting predatory, I'll be done with it. And it'll, and it depends on the market. If all of a sudden
tactical question for you here, Scott, you talked about when you say trailer, you're talking about trailing stops, right? Obviously, what do you use? What mechanics, technicals, closing prices? What do you use for some of your trailers?
Points of reference, moving averages, where it shouldn't get to for the trade to change. Some people have something on for a momentum trade. Some people have it as an incubation trade, waiting for it to, be in a range and go. Some people, so for me, if I'm in a trade for a reason, I use a stop for if the trade changes. And it could be for my size. It could be a strong stock that's been strong in the morning. And all of a sudden I'm going to go, do a workout midday and there's a level that it shouldn't break for it to stay strong to maybe I'll follow through in the close. And that could be the stop on a certain portion of it. And then there's a different stop based on, if the trade changes on a more intermediate basis. So it all depends, on what you're looking for. So I would say to traders out there, don't put a stop in based on, how much you're willing to lose. Do it on whether or not the reason you're in a trade changes. Like, so for right now, if you're in a trade for Apple, so for instance, if you think Apple is going to break above 220.20 this week, next week, it probably shouldn't break 210. So if all of a sudden Apple gets below 210, chances are it's going to take more than a few days or a week to get above 220. So that would be a stop of some size. Then if the market's going to change and mega cap tech isn't going to be great, then it should really not break 206. So in my head, those are the two spots. Same way you could do with other things. Like a lot of people are starting to look like, just say TTD. This stock has been up here for so long. It's been waiting and waiting and waiting. I have options on. Okay. So I would say 99.50 there's a chance it takes that out. But if it breaks 95, the chances are it's not sooner than later. So there's ways to just measure the strength and the speed. And then depending on the strength and the speed is what tier size you want to be in. Let's go one more. So what trade am I incubating right now? Guys are talking about this ENVX, right? So right now, I think people think this can continue to the upside, right? There are two levels in my head that I'm thinking. Right now, I'm only in a feeler, just so this way I don't lose sight of it, just in case it gets better. So this is one spot, which is really tight. You probably shouldn't be giving this to 14.59 because the way these things trade, sometimes they try and just take your lunch, and that's probably too tight. So if you go here, like just say 14.59 is one spot. So right here, this would be one spot that if it holds this and goes, chances are it's going to be fast. If it breaks it, really, I'm trading along versus 13.75. There's a nice pro gap here. If this were to break, then all of a sudden momentum's leaving and it's a different trade, and I don't need to be there because I have no, I have no love for this name. It's just not, it's just a day in the life and a potential setup. So when the setup changes, I change.
Got it. And Scott, what would be your sign to maybe go short or buy puts on some of these like big name tech stocks? When you were talking about your Tesla trade or Amazon, something like that, have you started to find some names that you like to the downside?
Not really. I rarely trade two sides of the market. I'll let you know what I did do. You go to the SPYs. So, I'll just be in less and I'll be tactical. If we were all of a sudden to break this area like yesterday. So what I did is yesterday I bought the 540 puts for July 19th. So just in case the market corrects, just in case it happens with a jobs report or with some kind of conflict geopolitically, whether it's on the border of Lebanon and Israel or whether something whatever it is, I'm like, you know what, let me go out 3 weeks and I'll buy or July 19th and buy the 540 puts. So I have the 540 puts. on top of. So this is the virtual trading floor. So this is like the positions that I have on now, which everyone gets to see because I'm as transparent as possible. These are people talking, whatever. So I still have some option stuff on for Apple. I have the 217.5s, which you could see. I have the 220s for the 5th and the 12th if it wants to break out. I'm also long the stock. Amazon, I'm long the stock. I'm also in some 200s that I rolled up from the 192.50s and the 195s on Friday into that pull-in. But then I also just said, hey, you know what? Let me buy some 540 puts just in case. Okay, like today, it's good. We're down 2 points. I might take a third off to trade around. And I'm also short some 547 calls to collect some premium because I didn't think we'd get above 547 today. So that's good. And then I also went out and shorted the 552.50 calls for the 12th, saying, hey, if we don't get there, I'll collect $1 and change. And if we do get there, I'll make a lot of money on my long premium and my stocks. So I'm always managing. But to be honest, I don't have the bandwidth to play things both ways. Like if you would have said, hey, Amazon's over, I'm shorting the hell out of it here because you had one candle that took out another candle but didn't realize it was above the 8-day, you lost short and you were out of your stock. So I don't like to lose both ways. But if we're in a real downtrend for multiple months.
What's that? What's a downtrend?
Been a while.
Unless you're in solar stocks, right?
Or Nike.
Nike or
Yeah.
IW.
There are stocks that are in downtrends, and there are other sectors that are in downtrends. But not the SPYs. So it makes me laugh all the time, like when everyone's complaining about, well, there's only 12 stocks that are making up the S&P gains. Okay, you could do two things. You could be in an S&P fund for 30 years, put money in every single month, and then you want it to go up because you do that for retirement and life and wealth. And then if you trade like we do, just be in those damn 18 stocks that look the best, showing relative strength, that have the best patterns. Don't be in the other, 82% of the stocks that you're trying to find the bottom or trying to pick when they're going to turn. So you could do it two ways: long-term monthly flows, or be a stock picker and use the charts. But stop complaining because there's way too many people complaining out there.
All right, Scott, before we let you go, we've got this QR code up on the screen for your free ebook. What can viewers get if they go sign up for that?
Which ebook is it?
Let's see.
Is it the Pro Gap earnings ebook, or is it the moving average ebook?
Let me figure it out real quick.
Well, what we do is I have a bunch of ebooks which teaches you guys how to fish. It's not plays, but it's or I'm not telling you what stock to buy.
It's the free indicator one.
Oh, okay. Well, indicators are things that I use that help me in my decision-making process. So what I would say is click on that, get a free ebook, and learn. And then if you Google Scott Redler, YouTube, there's probably about 20 different ebooks that we've made, which are all the things that I've put together since 1997, as I've been doing this for a long time. They're all different types of setups, whether it's the red dog reversal, whether it's moving averages, whether it's a tier system, whether it's the day count rules, whether it's how to use a pro earnings gap to set up a swing trade. These are all things all of us use, and they're things that are out there that people can learn and develop their own process with. So that's all it is it's a free educational ebook, and then potentially maybe there's also a link to some kind of deal we're doing for the Alpha team, which is over 500 professional traders around the world that share ideas, or the Redler All Access Note, which is something I write from 4:45 in the morning that goes out at 8:30 to give you what I'm looking at for the day to make some cash flow, and what potentially the narrative is the market, and what the just what's going on. So there's probably something you can learn and some kind of deal if you wanted to join our community.
All right, well, there you go. Make sure to hit that QR code. We also have a link in the description for that ebook. Scott, always a pleasure to have you on Pre-Market Prep. Glad you are recovering well. It's great to see you, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds great. Have a great day, guys. Have a great July 4th.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
That is a good reminder. We should do a programming note. So we will have a shortened day tomorrow. Markets will close at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then Thursday there will be no trading, and then we'll be back on Friday for a normal day. So we'll be normal here tomorrow as well, but just for all y'all trading or doing some 0-day expirations tomorrow, just remember it will be a shortened day. All right, let's see. We've got about 10 minutes left. Still not seeing Tesla numbers, but we did have Rivian numbers, and the Rivian numbers I think came in slightly above estimates. Produced 9,612 vehicles and delivered 13,790. Reaffirms 2024 annual production guidance of 57,000 vehicles to release Q2 financial results on August 6th. It was up a little bit more. Now it's come down a little bit, up about let's see, we're up about 1% pre-market here on Rivian.
Buyers are stepping up. Last 3 days, the VW
Yeah.
Beetle cell was there. That just got. And I think if we even go to look at that, this thing traded when that news came out. It traded to 1850 when that news came out.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel! That was in so pre-market trading. Cooler hasn't prevailed. You have a spot here. Buyers are stepping up in the lower 13 handle. 3 lows in a row, 1330. So if you could care less about that gap fill down to 12, got pretty good support there in Rivian, RIVN.
I think you gotta like lean on that 1321, and if it takes that out, then you don't want to see it because then it's going to fill the gap quickly to 12. And I thought this would hold up better than it has. It's somewhat disappointing. I never played it at all, but I kind of thought it might bounce at the 15 area. It did not. And the first day we're 1850 coming down. You think the vote of confidence with VW would really, keep the stock elevated, but there's just so much overhead supply. There's so many bag holders, and they just continue to be, put pressure on the stock. I think as long as it holds 1320, you could take a shot. Again, if it takes out that 1320 low, I wouldn't want to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean that Rivian pop, it got up to about $18 on that.
1850,
and
just another selling opportunity.
Alex wants to talk Celsius. We haven't talked Celsius in a few days.
Finally caught a bid, huh?
Finally caught a bid. I mean, this thing went from being one of the hottest stocks in the market to one that sold off the most. I mean, you look from the top down to where we got to a couple days ago, more than a 40% drop in Celsius. Went from about $100 a share down to 56 bucks a share. Now got a little bounce here, and looks like we're trading flat heading into the open here. I don't know if there was news on the pop or if it was just finally seller exhaustion that brought some buyers in.
Yeah, it's seller exhaustion. Been down 98. The stock almost like you're talking about a 40% fall here in a month. So it has been a significant fall from grace. I compared this, I believe, in my head. I don't know if I did on the show, to Lululemon, and it kind of feels the same, where you got this hot story that has all of a sudden cooled off, and it's hard to get the Momo back. So Lululemon's been, obviously in a downtrend now for a while, so it's going to be even harder. Celsius really only been in a downtrend for a little over a month. So could it bounce back? It has bounced back before. This is a logical level for it to bounce from too, if you really think. We had lots of consolidation in the 45 to 50 area here. So we're $10 away from there, but there is support beneath. So that's the good news. The bad news is the momentum is broken and the valuation's extreme. So I think I still stay away.
I like to see it establish a couple more lows here in this area right here, just under 57. Last 2 lows were in the 56 handle. And this, before, like, this gave you, it gave you a shot at like a good area before it took off. Going back here, this was the $50 area. I remember, thought I was never going to move off that, but like to see a few more sustained bids right here, build a little bit more of a base than the next numbers to take out on the upside. Big numbers on the upside. The pair of highs from last month at 62.30 and 62.68.
There you go. We got time for one more ticker from the chat. Let's see. Generac, I'm seeing GNRC.
Hurricane.
The hurricane trade.
Yeah.
Well, that hurricane's. Where is that hurricane though? That's not even anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Caribbean. Yeah, we don't care.
Well, we do. I mean, you can start this up here, and this is a stock that, haters, if you want to give me some, I've done this stock all wrong. I had the thing, and then it went down to 80, and I was like, and then it came back up, and I sold too soon, and I just, traded this really, really badly. So I'm just going to even not comment on it. It's a stock that I do okay on the hurricane trade when that happens off of short-term day trading, but I've tried investing in this thing before, and it just hasn't been that good for me.
It's kind of an accordion chart here, not sustained moves in either direction. I'd say if you're bullish here, you have a a line, an area of 3 lows around 131. Now we're at 132.50. So that better hold and turn back up again. 2-day high up at 137.64.
All right. Well, that brings us.
Tesla
Did
is
we get it?
popping here. So we're getting
Oh,
numbers
let's see.
from Tesla here. I don't know, obviously I was hoping for more of a dip here. Now we're getting the dip. It's all over the place. All over the place here. I think if you get this thing down, in the 190s area again, like basically getting back to not be a $200 stock, I think this is underneath demand. I'm not even sure you're going to get the dip though. So I'm in my core position. It's one of the biggest positions in my long-term portfolio. I would like it to be the biggest position. So I actually would like to add to this. I don't know if we're going to get a dip here today or not. I was hoping for a dip. I tweeted twice I was hoping for a dip. Do we have those numbers, A, B?
Yeah, so we had in Q2, we had 410,000 vehicles produced, 443,000 delivered. I want to see what the estimates were here. Give me 1 second. So either way, the bar was set kind of low here on the deliveries coming in. A lot of people were expecting them to miss big time, and it looks like the numbers actually came in okay, or at least above that lower bar estimates. Second quarter, approximately 411,000 vehicles were produced, 444,000 were delivered. Yeah, so there you go. You got a low bar. You cross that low bar, stock trading higher, gets a little pop here.
The next daily high, if you could sustain yesterday's high at 1323, which we are trading at right now, just next daily high to come into play. There's only one high in that area, comes in at 215.65. If you're looking for a short-term target in today's trade.
Our good Christian Fromhertz telling us the estimates were 439,000.
Okay,
so it
so
is
slightly
a slight beat on really, low bar numbers. Obviously, year over year, it's been a disaster. Tesla's had a tough year. We're not going to lie to you. Tesla's had a tough year, but the stock is responding well to bad news. I mean, the deliveries, think back to April when they crushed the stock on those delivery numbers. And then everybody started thinking about it, and then they rallied it. And was it April? When was it that they crushed it? I think it was. I think they had the deliveries, and then they turned the stock around, and it just hasn't stopped going up since. So it's 215. It's getting a pop. I'm actually disappointed it's getting a pop because I tweeted out multiple times that I wanted to buy more stock. So I'm doing well with it. Doing well with my Tesla position. I don't know if it is the biggest. I never add it all up. Like I said, I have it in 4 separate accounts. I have it in my wife's RSP. I have it in my RSP. I have it in my kid's RESP. And then I got like a regular account as well. So, but, I have it spread out, and, so I haven't added up all those to see if it is the biggest single stock holding in my long-term portfolio. Usually the ETFs are the biggest holdings, but it's probably close. I want it to be bigger. Because I'm so convicted on it that I just want the stock to come down so I can actually buy more, and I'm disappointed that I'm actually not even bigger than this. So, usually a big position, people ask, if it's 2.5% of my portfolio, it's probably an average size position. If it's 3, 4, or 5%, that's a large position for me of my portfolio. I wanted this over 5%. I was that convicted in it. I don't think it's 5% of my overall portfolio. So I definitely want to pull back here eventually to buy more Tesla, but doesn't look like it's happening this morning.
You'll get one.
All right.
You'll get one.
It is 9:04. 9:04.
If not, I'll be happy to make some money. 217.
9:04 a.m. Wow. We got a couple minutes over because we had these numbers come out at 9 a.m. But real quick, I pulled this up. What do I notice here? We deployed 9.4 gigawatts. I don't know if that's actually gigawatts of energy storage products.
1.21 gigawatts.
In Q2, the highest quarterly deployment yet. So you are seeing that growth in the energy storage business, and I expect that to continue. I was trying to make that point earlier. You're seeing that again from Tesla's financials there. But all right, or numbers, not financials. All right, it is 9:04. Let's wrap up. That will be it for pre-market.
Going to be a fun segment with Gordo on Friday. He's
Joel, who do we got coming on?
He was really dancing around this morning when the China deliveries and the stock was trading down. He's still going to be dancing. It's like, it's a fraud.
We have Mark. We have Mark coming on tomorrow. Mark Chaikin. He usually comes in on Thursdays. We missed him last Thursday, so I said, "Hey, do you want to do a Wednesday before the holiday?" And then also because it's kind of fun trading action, on those shortened days. On Wednesday over on PreMarketPrep.com, Dennis and I are going to be doing a closing print. You can see there's some good movements because the stocks get messed up because the computers don't know that the market's closing at 1 o'clock. So you get some trading action, good trading action. We'll be covering that on Wednesday, and the plan is to have Gordo on Friday. So that's where we stand right now. Everyone have a great day.
219. Holy Tesla Bears. What's up?
All right, y'all. We will be back with you guys tomorrow, 8 a.m.